Yeah, now I hope I am audible to all. Can anybody confirm
Yes, sir,
that
you are audible.
Yes,
whether
sir.
I am
Yes,
audible?
yes, Pankaj, you are audible, but
Yes,
again,
sir. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
thank
as
you.
was the case in
Sorry,
the
we
beginning,
paused
your
for
voice is still
5
very
minutes
low.
as requested. Now we are starting our technical sessions, and I again welcome you all to technical session. And as our program elaborates, that I will be taking this particular talk very shortly on introduction to Miyawaki forests, its relevance and necessity in the context of urban settings. So, uh, as you all know that I am not going back to the importance of the Miyawaki forest. You all know that the Miyawaki forest is nothing but recreating natural forests which have grown over hundreds of years in the course of natural evolution. Like, you must have all visited a natural forest area. What do you see over there? You see the climax species. You will see tall trees, you will see mid-story trees, you will see small shrubs, you will see grasses, you will see ground flora, etc., etc. In natural forests, the most important thing which you see around is the soil, from where it actually draws all kinds of nutrition. Our eyes always see the forest above the ground, but actually that success of natural forest is basically the soil, which has also been come to a kind of a edaphic climax over the hundreds of years. What I mean to say by edaphic climax is basically the quality of soil which can support a very diverse ecosystem of plants, herbs, shrubs, tall trees, mid-story trees, etc., etc. And that soil is very
Sir, your mic is off.
Sir, your mic is off. Please on your mic.
oh, I'm sorry, the mic was off. So again, I'm repeating, the importance of Miyawaki forest is nothing but bringing back natural forests in a very short period of time, in very small areas which are very much found in our urban settings. You must have all visited natural forests. What do you actually see in natural forest? You see a very healthy growth of plants, trees, shrubs, herbs, and grasses. Our eyes always notice what is above the ground level, but the very important is what is actually on the ground and below the ground. That I mean to say is the soil of the natural forests. The natural forest attain their climax over hundreds of years. The species evolve, the kind of species evolve out of climatic conditions over hundreds of years, etc. But those species are supported by a very rich soil, which also gets evolved and attains its climax that is we call edaphic climax. The very important thing about the natural forest is the kind of a soil which natural forest has and which supports actually the whole ecosystem. So by way of creating Miyawaki forests, one thing is there you need hundreds of years, but definitely by human interventions we can create kind of soil which is very close to soil of natural forests, and we will be choosing the species which are found in natural forests in that particular agroclimatic zone. So the whole idea of Miyawaki forest is basically doing something in natural way, doing something, replicating the natural ways. Like we will replicate the natural soil of the forest, we will develop by adding some kind of a materials in the soil so that it can become a natural soil like in our urban settings in less of a time period. Then we will be doing kind of a species assessment which we call as potential natural vegetation assessment, and we will then obtaining saplings of those species and planting in the so-called Miyawaki forests. Not only the species, but also we have to look for the composition of species, like how many species of grasses, a particular kind of tree, herb or shrub we should have in order to replicate a natural forest for that particular agroclimatic zone. So in a very simple concept, if I explain Miyawaki forest is nothing but you have to imitate a natural forest for that particular agroclimatic zone in your urban settings. And now, what is the importance of Miyawaki forest? As our keynote speaker, Mr. Manoj Singh, rightly pointed out, that this is a dense forest, just like a natural, undisturbed virgin forest, it will be a very dense forest. By virtue of its density, this forest will be needing very high nutrition initially. You are, see what happens in natural forests, the species come up over period of time. But when we are replicating a natural forest in Miyawaki way, that we are planting all those species at one point of time. So your soil needs to be very, very high nutritious to support that kind of a forest initially. That is why we add lot of nutrients to the soil for development of Miyawaki forests. That is why somebody will say that it's a bit of a cost intensive technique, because you need to have very high nutrients in the soil, very high organic matter, so that it can support the kind of a natural forest right from very beginning in the growing stage. But again, you have to go natural, you have to go a very natural way, like you need to add the locally available material, like you will in due course of lectures, our resource persons will tell you that what kind of locally available material should be added for water holding capacity improvement, and then organic matter improvement, then percolation improvement, and then improvement on account of microorganisms. So definitely when this very high natural dense forest is created, since the soil is very nutritious, it will grow very fast. We will show you the field visit virtually on 21st. You can see that you must have also referred to the literatures that Miyawaki forest grows 10 times faster than the conventional plantations. You will see that in 1 year, depending upon the climatic conditions, the Miyawaki forests have grown into 10, 15, 20 feet high in just 1 year. It has got 20% more biodiversity. Why it has more biodiversity? It has got all kinds of food available. See, for instance, for butterflies. The butterflies need a good host plant. What do we mean by host plant? The host plant is a plant where the caterpillar of butterfly can feed upon and can pupate and ultimately become a butterfly. And when butterfly comes out after caterpillar stage, it needs a very good flowering plant for feeding on nectar, minerals, and of course for cross-pollinating. So in Miyawaki forests, all kinds of niche habitats are naturally there for all species, whether they are butterflies, whether they are birds, whether they are rodents, whether they are reptiles, etc. So you will find that it is more diverse ecosystem because it has more plant diversity, it has more food. Then it will attract more butterflies, more reptiles, and there is a food chain. When there is a butterfly, there will be bird who feeds upon the butterfly. Then of course Miyawaki forest is 30 times more dense, and as rightly narrated by Manoj Singh sir, that it will sequester more carbon than our natural plantations. To a rough estimate, sequesters 20 times more carbon than the natural plantations. It can grow in a very small piece of land as a small piece like 160 square meter of land. You can develop a Miyawaki forest on your backyard, in your premises, schools, industrial, green belts, etc. And in bigger areas, this can also be developed. There are examples where Miyawaki forests have been developed in roadsides also. So it has got its applicability very wide, and its coverage would also be then very wide. It is perfectly suited for city settings. When we come to our sustainable development goals, you all know that goal number 13 is climate action. There is a question, I will take it right away here. Somebody was saying that where we will get seeds to develop Miyawaki forests in our surroundings. You need to very sure that Miyawaki forests are not developed by seed origin. You need to have saplings developed first. And you need to study the natural forest in your agroclimatic zone. You need to find out the kind of species natural forest supports and in what composition exactly it supports. Then you have to plan your nursery, or you have to refer to, you have to access to, you have to reach out to the already established nurseries. And if you are not having a particular type of plants, then you have to raise them in nurseries. It's a bit difficult process, I should not say difficult, but you have to go very meticulously. So just hold on for the lectures to come. We have got thematic lectures on species survey. Then we have lectures on species selection. Then from where you will get the species. Then we have a lecture on how do you prepare a project for Miyawaki forest. Then how would you actually do it, and how would you monitor it? How would you uh, uh, assess success of your plantation, etc., etc. So just hold on for the lectures to come. Our resource person will explain you in a great detail about that. So SDG goal number 13 is climate action. You all know that the climate action requires two things: climate change adaptation and climate change mitigation. The Miyawaki forest is fulfilling both the actions. Like it sequesters carbon dioxide, that means it also contributes to the climate mitigation. And wherever there is a Miyawaki forest is grown, the microclimate gets improved. The heat islands in the cities can be converted into the heat sinks, and the microclimate can be improved. So it also serves the purpose of climate change adaptation. So goal 13, it perfectly fulfills both the things. Since, as I explained, supports Miyawaki forest supports life, not only plant life, but also the insect life, the bird life, the animal life, the human life. So life on land, goal number 15, is also fulfilled. The Miyawaki forest also fulfills, satisfied the objectives of goal number 15. So I think in a nutshell, you can say that Miyawaki forest is a technique by which we can really, next 10 years, if we start doing it aggressively, we would not only be doing climate change mitigation action, but also we would be improving the microclimate of our cities. We would be improving air qualities of the cities. Miyawaki plantations are good noise absorbers also. So you will improve all kinds of environmental ill impacts by raising Miyawaki plantations. Why Miyawaki plantation is scalable? It is a very scalable thing because it can be grown. Like where I am sitting, this is Directorate of Environment office premises. Here we have around 200 square meters of land vacant. And we also want to improve microclimate because in our city, Lucknow, the summers actually cover about 6 to 7 months in a year. So I want to raise a very good, effective kind of a plantation over here. I would have gone for a conventional plantation. But since I have got this idea of Miyawaki plantation, I am going to raise Miyawaki forest in just 150 square meters in my office premise. The same can be developed in schools, and the same can be developed in corporate offices. Same can be developed in industrial premises. So the scalability is very, very high. The only thing, we need professionals to support this kind of raising of Miyawaki plantation. You must have heard a lot of Miyawaki plantations coming up, but don't think that Miyawaki plantation is just raising a high density plantation. It is not that. It's actually a very particular kind of process by which you have to develop it. Then only you will find the real impact of Miyawaki forest. That is why this training program is here for you. Try to listen to all lectures, all inputs given by our resource persons carefully. Now I am closing here because my Miss Miss Priyanka from Lakhimpur, she is posting that I would just try to read out her post. My school campus have a lot of space for Miyawaki plantation. I need to know how and whom to contact. So, Mrs. Priyanka, you are going to be the resource person for Miyawaki forestation in your school. You will be the person who will be, after this training, who will be expert on raising Miyawaki plantation. This training is exactly focused for this kind of gaps for upscaling the Miyawaki intervention, that if Mrs. Priyanka is capacitated for raising Miyawaki plantation, she can actually serve his duty to the nation by raising at least 10 to 20 Miyawaki forests in Lakhimpur city. Lakhimpur is a city where myself has worked for over 6 years. So I would be very highly encouraged if Mrs. Priyanka becomes an expert on Miyawaki forest. I hope she will take up this training very seriously. Then I am now taking few questions. There is a question from Rajiv Gupta. What are the advantages of being a certified professional? Being a railway officer, it is capsule course only with limited exposure. Mr. Gupta, very humbly, I would request you, you are a government officer working in the railway department. Railway is one of the very few departments in our country who has lot of land with them. And most of the railway lands, you also face the same problem as we face in the forest department. Most of the time our lands are encroached. Most of the time our lands become dumping ground for garbage. So these kinds of problems we also face in the forest department, because as railway we are also the landowners. So I would request you to learn this technique and apply this technique to all lands of railways which are not of immediate use for raising Miyawaki plantations. If you raise Miyawaki plantation, nobody would be able to enter that land because it is so dense. He would fear, if I will go inside this forest, there will be a reptile waiting for me inside that forest. So I think this is the best way to save land, best way to serve the nation, best way to contribute towards Net Zero India 2070. Now the second question is from Sonal Kumar. She says, she or he, I don't know, can we give exam some other day if candidate is not available on final day at that particular time? No, the exam is online. If you are not able to take exam, then we are sorry that you would not be getting the certificate. The training schedule is very much clear. You can take up training next time also for becoming a certified Miyawaki professional. Then there is a question from Vikas Goel. When shall we get learning material and videos? It is very much there. It is very much there where you have logged in. Just go to our learning management system and you will find reference material link. Just click that link. You will directly access to repository of reference material, including the video recordings. So please go there and read the reference material. The name is not clear. It is written that keep smiling, be happy. So we are all very happy to have you all here with us. I would like to know whether there are any restrictions as to where Miyawaki forest can or should be grown. This question arises from the fact that I recently studied about urban forestry and learned that dense trees along the road can lead to few problems such as trapping air pollutants in street canyons, thereby preventing its dilution and dissipation, increase in HWC and accidents, etc. Aparajita. Yes, Aparajita, you are very correct. There are restrictions. Like wherever visibility, where is the visibility is required in the roadsides, you need not raise Miyawaki plantations, particularly on turnings, etc. Secondly, for Miyawaki plantations, just wait for more lectures to come. You have to dig out the site. So wherever there are underground cables, where there is an underground electric line, etc., there you should not be raising Miyawaki plantations. So there are restrictions. Our resource person will tell you in detail the kind of restrictions, etc. Then there was a question in the chat box regarding the cost. Just please access to the reference material. In the bill of quantity, also lecture also our resource person will tell you about the cost. As per schedule of rate prepared by the forest department is standardized, which is there in our reference material. We have given that schedule of rate to you, where you will find activity wise cost, but total cost of Miyawaki forest is about 48 lakhs per hectare, including all kinds of preparations, development, maintenance, etc. for 3 years. So the 3 years project cost is about 48 lakhs. Then one of my JRF is asking that can we have site visit? Please go through the training schedule. We have already placed training schedule for you because of pandemic surge, because of COVID surge, COVID variant surge conditions. We are not organizing on-site training, but live streaming of live telecast of the field visit and the explanation and of course the real-time operations will be done for you on 21st of January 2022. It's very well there in your schedule. So be with us for that. So now I cannot take more questions because we are already delayed. And I hope I have already answered most of the questions, and most of the questions which are coming in, actually, yeah. The last question I am taking, can we use STP treated water? This is a very good question. In fact, this holds very good for railways also. Like there has to be a whole circular system. You do your waste management, do on-site composting of your solid waste, use that compost in Miyawaki forest. Whatever liquid waste is coming out from railway establishments, do kind of a treatment of that liquid waste. Use that treated water which is high in organic content for irrigation in Miyawaki. So that can be done. In fact, this kind of circularity and a closed loop system, if you are able to develop for Miyawaki plantations, that is probably the most ideal situation. Yes, Prabhakar Shukla, yes, we need to incorporate circular economy concepts not only in Miyawaki plantations but in every actions we are taking up for saving our environment. So now I stop here. I think core lectures are waiting for you and I wish you all the best. Rest of the questions, please keep on typing on your chat box. We have a specially dedicated session on question and answer on last day of examination. Before examination, we will have a kind of an hour-long question and answer session where all our resource person will sit in the panel and will try to answer all your questions. So keep on posting your questions. Our team at the back end is compiling all those questions and we assure you we will take most of the questions. We will sort those questions and we may not be taking each and every questions, but kind of type of questions we will choose so that all kinds of queries are very well answered. Mr. Praveen Kumar is posting, can I read this? Can we use this technique for green belt? Yes. Yes, why not? Just wait for more lectures to come. Green belt along landfill site, anywhere you can use this technique. It is the best technique to shroud the kind of smell which comes out of landfill. So if you raise Miyawaki plantation along the landfill site, it will definitely improve the microclimate and it will not let pass through the odor which is generated from landfill sites to nearby habitations and localities. So best site is also around the landfills. So I am stopping here. You are all bubbling with questions. Most of the questions will be answered by our resource persons in the thematic lectures. Yudhishthir is asking, this is the last question I am taking. What in height, root and shoot ratio DBH for same species if we grow by Miyawaki plantation and grow by nature? If you follow exactly all the Miyawaki protocols which we are teaching you today, I think there will not be any difference. There will not be any there will not be any substantial difference in that. I think you will be replicating exactly the same kind of a growth which a natural forest. Yes, you will get the recording of whatever I am speaking by tomorrow and what all other resource persons will be speaking. So all recordings will be there in your learning management system where you have logged in. Thank you so much.